Books 9 to 12 of the Odyssey are everyone's favorite part of the epic. Not only do they give us wonderful adventures filled with magic and mystery and monsters, but because the stories are told from Odysseus' first-person point of view, we feel as if we know Odysseus, as if we are traveling in his head. In this video, I would like to describe 3 thematic elements of the Odyssey that will help you to better enjoy Odysseus' journeys in books 9 to 12. First of all, in order to really appreciate and understand the journeys, you need to understand the Greek Homeric concept of zhenya. Zhenya, X-E-N-I-A, better known as the guest-host relationship, defines the duties that a guest owes to the host and the host owes to the guest. If you are a good host, when a stranger comes to your door, you must let him in without any questions. Let him in, feed him, clothe him, give him gifts, and only then are you to ask his name and story. On the other hand, to be a good guest means that you do not steal from your host, you do not extort gifts from him, and you do not overstay your welcome. If you read again carefully through books 9 to 12, if not indeed the entire Odyssey, you will see a series of good hosts and guests, and a series of bad hosts and bad guests. The Phaeacians, Aeolus, who gives Odysseus the bag of wind, they would also maybe Circe for a while, turn out to be good hosts who help the sailors. On the other hand, Cyclops and Laestrygonians, who eat Odysseus's men, turn out to be very, very bad hosts. Even someone like Calypso, who keeps Odysseus too long on her island, would also qualify as a bad host. On the other hand, a bad guest would be Odysseus's men when they devour the cattle of the sun, but it would also include Odysseus himself in the cave of the Cyclops. When Odysseus gets to the cave, Polyphemus is not there. So Odysseus helps himself to the food. You're not supposed to do that. Then he purposely waits to meet the owner of the cave, not out of true hospitality, but because he wants to extort a gift out of him. It is because Odysseus is behaving as a bad guest that he ends up being trapped in the cave and has 6 of his men devoured by the Cyclops. You might also notice that the suitors who are eating Penelope out of house and home are also examples of bad guests, and they are going to get their comeuppance. Now, zhenya is important, not only in the Odyssey, but in the whole ancient world, because in a world that doesn't have holiday inns or Geneva codes or United Nations, the only way that someone can travel safely through the world is if everyone respects zhenya. Follow zhenya, everything goes well. Break it, everything goes badly. Another element that you need to understand about the journeys is during his travels, books 9 to 12, Odysseus faces 2 different kinds of dangers. One kind of danger is the danger to his life, being eaten by a Cyclops or a Laestrygonian, or being killed by the Sirens or by a rebel army. But that's not the only danger that Odysseus faces. He also faces the danger of what I call the false homecoming. Whether it is Circe the enchantress, or Calypso the nymph, or even Nausicaa the lovely princess of Phaeacia, all 3 of those women, in one sense they're good, and even good hosts to a point, but all of them pose a threat to Odysseus. They threaten to become a false or surrogate Penelope. They're lovely, but if Odysseus stays with them, he will never get home and he will never finish his journey. Think of the soldiers who fought in World War II. If they were to come back to America, they not only had to keep themselves alive physically, not being killed by Nazi or Japanese bullets, but they also had to resist the temptation to stay behind in France or Italy or Japan and marry one of the local women. No, if they're going to come home, they need to resist the false homecoming as well as the danger. Finally, another element in the travels is the element of disguises, when to wear them, when not to wear them, and how to properly use your identity. If you're going to survive in the world of the Odyssey, you need to see through appearances rather than being fooled by them. But also, you need to learn discernment as to when to reveal yourself and when not to. Now, Odysseus gets himself in trouble in the cave of the Cyclops because he turns out to be a bad guest. However, he still would have survived if he had remembered the other important lesson, and that is to make a proper use of his self-identity. He would have escaped safely from the Cyclops, but he decides to taunt him, and so he cries out, "O Cyclops, if anybody ever asks you who put out your eye, tell him it was Odysseus, son of Laertes, king of Ithaca." Unfortunately for Odysseus, the moment he gives away his name, Polyphemus is able to put a curse upon him, and that curse haunts him throughout the entire Odyssey, and only breaks when he is able to destroy the evil guests who are eating out his house and home, and restore his true identity as the husband of Penelope, the father of Telemachus, and the king of Ithaca. Enjoy your travels.